If you think about COVID-19, this is really a very difficult period for us as a country, for us as for humanity as a whole. And if we bring it to the bank, this is uncharted territory that we're in. And we will only get through it by the quality of leadership that emerges from this, both at a country level and at a company level. And the need for empathetic leadership has never been greater, because we are forced to now look at what is really important in terms of safety of our staff, in terms of just getting through the pandemic, supporting our customers through this cycle as their businesses struggle, and also how we come out of it in how we work, relate to each other, the important lessons that we take away from it. And it all comes back to leadership. How do we lead through this crisis? There is no playbook that prepares you for this type of pandemic. And what you can only anchor yourself as a leader on is making the right choices, making the right decisions, and focusing on what is important. And really that defines leadership in my view. So I'm pretty confident that we will come out of it, but there's some challenging times ahead of us, and it will all be defined by how we lead. As I think about banking and think about banking at Citi, it is incredible some of the things that Citi has been able to do to adjust to this pandemic and this environment that we're in. If you think about Citi, an organization with 200,000 employees, 80% of those employees, or 160,000 people, are working remotely. That by itself is phenomenal, and it is a testament to the new ground that we have gone into, and also demonstrates what we're actually capable of doing when the environment changes so drastically. So the three lessons I, again, would like to share with you from my own vantage point is our employees and our people are the most important asset that we have. You have to put aside everything else and think about how do you get through this environment, ensuring safety of your employees, so that we can come back to build the business after this. Because if we don't get through it, there will be no business to really talk about. So the most important lesson that came to me day one as we were going into our contingency plans is the importance of securing our people and ensuring that our people are safe. Number two, the customers that support the business and the need for us to support our customers has never been more clear. At the end of the day, if our customers do well, we do well. And our customers are struggling through this process, this period. And the most important lesson that I've learned is connect to the customers, understand what they are going through, how you can support them through this period. And if you make it through, you will only make it through because your customers have actually also made it through. So the need to be in touch with our customers on a daily basis, just talking to them, checking in, providing support where you can, whether it's liquidity or working capital, has been brought home quite uniquely. And the notions around how you talk to the customer, you don't need to fly in or go and meet a customer physically. How you relate to the customer in this period has actually changed. We're doing more virtual check-ins and more connections using technology, as opposed to flying to a customer or going to have a physical meeting. So the whole construct of how you engage to customers has also changed. And then third lesson I want to probably share with you is that banking, as other economic activities, are very important. but they can change in the split of a moment, where one day you're starting the year with hopes and optimism and plans for the year. The next you're in a contingency mode where you're really thinking about survival. And it just talks to the fragility of life, the fragility of the environment that we operate in. And again, it brings back, I believe, a quote by Jack Ma, the chairman of Alibaba, who just talked about looking at 2020 in perspective and focusing on surviving through it. What comes next, what comes thereafter, the changes that you make will be a consequence of the decisions that we make now. So the third message I want to really leave with you, and the lesson I want to leave with you, is this lesson of understanding that life is fragile, things can change, and focus on really what is important. The rest will come. A good question, and again, very relevant in this period that we're in. If you think about the period that we're going into, it's really the start of the fourth industrial cycle, the digital economy, the knowledge economy, as it were. And Citi is a corporate bank in the sense that our business here in the region is corporate. And if we think about what is happening around innovation, around disruption, it is this theme that our customers also become part of our ecosystem. So one of the ways that we are responding to this particular challenge is to actually innovate, to provide solutions that address the last mile, and the last mile meaning the last mile between our customers and their own customers, or their suppliers, or their distributors, through innovative solutions, whether it's around payments, it's around supply chain financing, it's around last mile financing, right? To empower that ecosystem of our customers. And that is through partnerships. We don't try and create the solutions on our own. We work with partners, whether it's payment intermediaries, whether it's organizations that are active in that particular space, like fintechs, again, who provide credit and digital last mile financing solutions. So through a combination of smart partnerships, leveraging technology, and being innovative, this is how we are, again, addressing some of these opportunities. I don't like to use the word challenges. I see them as opportunities. A very interesting topic, that the digital landscape, as you know, in Kenya has opened up significantly, and we have today in excess of 100 digital lenders who are providing digital credit to consumers. The financial inclusion has increased significantly, with over 80% of the population in Kenya having some sort of financial access. So the evolution of the digital financial landscape has definitely come of age. But there is need for a regulated environment where there is consumer protection around use of data, around pricing of credit, around use of CRBs, consumer reference, credit reference bureaus, and the move by the regulator to bring the digital lenders under the Central Bank Act is really an important move. Not only will it ensure a level playing field in the industry that protects both the lenders as well as the consumers, but it also brings regulation in this credit-only industry. The move to regulate will bring these digital lenders within the Banking Act, and will also mean that these lenders have to abide by the banking charter, which focuses on customer centricity, risk-based pricing, and transparency, which is important because that's what all the regulated commercial banks are supervised under. And bringing the digital lenders into this space only makes for a more resilient financial system. So we are supportive of that move, and it will also allow for innovation because with a regulated sector, there is very clear guidelines in terms of how you operate in the financial services space. So obviously there will be some noise around this, there will be some pushback, but by and large it's the right move. If you think about banking today is an omnichannel experience. You have a mobile banking that you can access financial services through a mobile app. You have an internet banking platform where you can again transact, including high-value transactions through an internet banking platform, whether it's a peer-to-peer payment or bank-to-bank payment through using Pesalink. That is another option that you can access both from your mobile or from your internet banking. And then as a corporate customer, you also have access to interfaces with your financial institution through an API or an application program interface that allows for more structured interface between corporates and their customers or their banks. And of course, there is cash, right? It's also another channel. So the point I want to make is that this pandemic, because of safety concerns, has seen people move away from cash and utilize more digital forms. It could be debit cards, contactless cards, where you can make transactions without having physical contact at the point of sale. Or mobile money has, of course, picked up tremendously. And the typical mobile and internet banking channels are also there for our corporate customers. At Citi, we've made available a number of platforms through Citi Direct and other platforms to really provide choice. So whether you're talking from a corporate or personal consumer context, the omni-channel experience is one that customers are now used to in banking. And to answer your question, I don't believe that there is one channel that has not seen growth of all the digital options, whether it's virtual cards, credit cards, debit cards, mobile money. The increase has been across the board. My part, in short, is really to always think about a crisis as an opportunity. This pandemic is a health crisis, and of course it's a very serious health crisis in the sense that a lot of people have lost their lives. There have been a number of countries that have gone through very difficult periods, whether economically strained to their health system, and again, the fatalities. But it's also an inflection point in terms of change. A crisis brings change, it brings opportunity, it brings new ways of doing things differently. At a very personal level, it also brings home to each of us questions around what is most important to you. Yeah? People have spent time in lockdowns, in curfews. The primacy of the family has come back, and the safety and wellness of families. I think going forward, health and safety of one's family will be the primary concern of most people, if I can talk, at least even from personal experience. So yes, we will go through some difficult periods, but the crisis will end. There will be a recovery. There will be a strong recovery economically. We will do things differently. We will work differently. Remote working now is on the table. That's a very interesting conversation. You don't have to travel as much, right? You don't have to do things the way you've done them. So I think the crisis has presented an opportunity for change, real change, in a number of ways. And to answer your question, it's really how you look at it. You can be positive about the outcome and where we go from here, which is how I choose to look at it, but also take safety and precautions to get through it, right? So those are my closing words, and thank you for the questions, the conversation. I think we've got some very interesting times ahead, and I choose to be optimistic about the future and what is ahead of us.